Hey everyone, welcome back. It's been a while. It's been about 3 weeks since we've done a video. We've just been so busy. Last minute food plots, last minute deer stand prep, last minute orders we're filling, doing a lot of orders heading down south right now. We just haven't had time for doing videos, but we're going to really make up for that in the month of October here. So today we're going to talk about our food plots here at Northwoods. We're going to take you to a lot of our food plots, and we want to talk about strategy, why we did what we did, how we planted, and why we planted what we planted. Now, I'm not going to talk very loud because a lot of these are smaller food plots tucked up to bedding areas. In fact, one of the food plots, we actually bumped a deer off the food plot and it was walked into a bedding area, and you'll get to see that. But we're going to talk about here in Upper Michigan, sandy soil, really clay. We're going to show you what we planted, why we planted it, and sometimes talk about how we planted it. But again, you're going to have to turn your volume up because I didn't bring the mic with me and I'm just talking with the phone, and we had to talk quiet because a lot of these food plots are surrounded in bedding areas. Now, this was shot a couple weeks ago. We were out on the food plots. I tried to stay out of everything probably about the first week of September, but it was around the 15th to 18th. We were doing all these videos, and you'll notice some of the oats and rye are a little bit taller this year. It's amazing how much food we have around here in the form of apples, acorns, even the beech nut trees. We've got a lot of hardwoods around our hunting properties, and they're just loaded. I think there's not one apple tree around me that I can see that's not loaded with apples this year. It's amazing. And we're talking to a lot of customers. They're in the same boat. Not a lot of pressure on the food plots early season, but those mass crops are just loaded. So obviously that's going to take some of the deer's attention away from the daylight use of the food plots. So come on along with us, folks. We're going to show you what our food plots look like this year.
All right, I'm not going to talk very loud on this one just because we're surrounded by bedding. We're looking west right now, and it's just solid. There's a water hole dug right here. But the thing is, the reason this is here, it's up higher. It's a lot thicker here than most of these balsam areas are. And the access is really good. So we're looking west, and we've got, the camera's having a hard time focusing. But we have a lot of rye and oats in here, plus red clover and chicory, a couple of radishes, and it's doing pretty well. You see a lot of browse pressure already. But the theory here, there's a green food plot corridor, travel corridor that runs to the north. And this is basically the starting spot. And we're trying to capture movement. And it's thousands of acres of big woods. And we're trying to capture the movement as it moves towards the north. But a lot of sand in here, so we did heavy cereal grains. I think we're going to try to get seclusion in here. We've got a vine right here. We're going to put another one here. And just kind of try to do in this food plot a multiple scraping trees, rubbing trees. I'm not sure why this camera's acting up, but you can see right here we got a little yellow spot here, but we were in here the other day with Plot Doctor. It's actually coming back quite nice. So this is another one of our kill plots. Gosh, this thing doesn't look like, maybe 20 yards by 25 yards. Not very big, but this is all you need. And you can see the carpeted green again. It leads out to a massive destination food plot. So not expecting a whole lot in here right now. I think it's September 12th today. And we're just finishing up. This is a lot later than I like to be in here, but you can see the archery stand, ladder stand, this 18-foot ladder stand right here. Access is to the east, walking about 50 yards off the main road, and you're in. But this is set up for north wind, northwest, southwest. So I think a northwest wind, you could get in here and probably see something cruising, because there's a lot of bedding right on the backside. We did a bunch of hinge cutting back in here, so you're kind of downwind of that. And then we've got that travel corridor, food plot corridor. So just another one of our food plots that we did this year. All right, this is another food plot, and I'm not talking very loud, obviously. I don't know if you can see it. There's deer right there. You see the branch moving. There's a doe. So we're not going to talk too loud. Anyway, we've got a bedding area right here. That's where she's in right now. We wanted to put a water hole. There's not a lot of water sources on here. And this is, again, all the sand from this water to build this up a little bit. And you can see out here, there's the destination food plot out here. So what we've got here is rye oats and our seclusion 360. And you can see the chicory's doing really well. Coming really good. I don't expect them to hit that very hard until probably another month from now. And again, I apologize for not talking very loud because we're right on top of a bedding area. But this is just a destination or a spot before they get to the destination food plot. So, but strategy-wise, we just wanted to get between food and bed and create an archery shot. And then from a planting standpoint, because it's all sand, we did try the seclusion 360. You know, again, it's that darker sand. There might be a little topsoil from, you can see there's a layer of topsoil around the edge of the pond, and then it gets into sand. But, you know, that was all spread out here, and then we just planted it this year for the first time. You can see there's a little bit of coloring right here. We're probably going to try to sneak in here one more time right before rain with some blot doctor. But not bad. So I'm going to get out of here because, like I said, there's a deer standing right back here in the bedding area. So great access to the spot. We've got a stand right behind me. So pond's about 2/3 full. Okay, now we're on one of the big destination food plots on one of the properties we're working on in Upper Michigan. And no, that's not corn, it's Milo. And it's overseeded. Well, we planted Milo and winter peas in hopes that they'd leave them alone. But the problem is we had such a dry June, we couldn't get anything in here until July. So we drilled with a grain drill Milo and winter peas and some sugar beets. And then we used dual 2 Magnum as a pre-emergent herbicide, and it actually worked quite well. And then we overseeded it with rutabagas and later on cereal rye and some buckwheat. It's something we're going to try again next year just to try to provide some grain up here. Obviously, we can't put corn in here because it'd just be destroyed by bears and all the deer. And again, I'm not talking very loud because we were just down. That pond is right down here, right through that opening. And again, there's deer bedding right there, so I'm not going to talk too loud today. But anyway, the strategy here was, because the soil's so bad, a lot of clay, we wanted to drill the seed, but we couldn't get anything planted all of June because it was so dry. I mean, it was just powder up here, and the clay was like concrete, so we had to wait for some rain. And then we got the Milo drilled, and it actually grew quite well, but we were a month behind. I was hoping we'd catch some seed head, but I think we're running out of time. So you can see we got a, boy, this camera just isn't working very well. We got a mock vine right here, grapevine. So they can come around the corner here and catch it. But anyway, it grew well, but it just needs time, and I just got it in a month too late. But right now what we're standing in is fall forage sandy soil because the soil is so bad. It's doing extremely well. It's just like the deer are starting to find it now. You know, probably 6 to 8 inches of growth on some of the oats, but they're clipping them pretty good. So, but you can see the Milo, it grew well, but I just think we ran out of time. We've got another patch over here. So this is a strategy. It did work, but it's not going to work the way I wanted it to. I was hoping to have, I believe this is about a half acre on maybe a 2.5 acre food plot total. I was hoping to have, you know, some Milo, and I wanted the winter peas to actually put on, make a pod, make a pea, and there's some in there in the middle. I'm not going to walk in there today. We're too close to season, but what we wanted to do was provide some grain for the deer late in the year. And again, we just can't do corn now. The strategy we did here with the dual Magnum, I think dual 2 Magnum pre-emergent, you're limited on what you can overseed. We obviously, you can see we did buckwheat and rye, but again, the soil's so bad here, so that might be one of the reasons. I might have pushed it a year or two too early, but I just wanted to see if it worked. There's a lot of food in this, and it does create a little bit of cover. It breaks this giant food plot up. But I'm kind of happy the way it turned out. I can see a pea right here. Putting a pod on, you can see the flower. Let's see right here, there's a pod. Those are going to be winter peas. Hopefully they're going to I can see actually a pod at the top of plant. So we're hoping to have some peas, and what that is going to resemble is beans. You know, the farmer ag areas, they get beans. So that was the whole strategy here. You know, again, can't do corn, can't do soybeans. Are we going to come in with an electric fence? Maybe when I see that this actually works and the soil gets better. We could put corn and beans in here, but again, it's just, you know, 2/3 of an acre maybe total, and you know, we might be pulling away some of the summer attraction that we do need up here, as well as summer food just for nutrition wise. So, but we're in about 1,000 acres of woods, and you know, this would get wiped out fairly quickly if it was corn. But there is a strategy, and you know, we used the strategy here was Milo, because it can take crappy soil. The winter peas didn't do as good as I was hoping for, but it did work. But now what we've got is a rye overseed, buckwheat overseed. There's some sugar beets growing in there. There's some rutabagas growing in there. And there's going to be food in here for the fall. But now what this does is going to just help improve the soil for next year, and we're going to try it again. So that was the strategy here. Okay, here's another secluded plot that we're turning perennial. This is the back side of that Milo. And it's just, you can see we got some hinge cut bedding areas back here. Down here, there's a big corridor that comes out of the woods right here. And this is all what we think is bedding back here. A lot of deer come out of here. So here again, fall forward sandy soil. We did add a tremendous amount of red clover. You can see is coming. And I believe there is some chicory in there. And what we're trying to do here is just turn this. This is a very secluded plot. You can't really hunt it. You know, it's in the middle of the property. You see the ladder right here. I gotta, let's see if you can see it. Attack the cell camera right there. So that's what this is back here. Strategy-wise, what we're doing is just, it's going to be a pit stop, hopefully, before they head off to the main destination food plot. And when we design this next year, we're going to still have some sort of Milo we're screening, and then get them to funnel out to where we can hunt. I can get here with a rifle. Archery is definitely out of the question. But just a little, we might open it up bigger too, but this is just where they seem to congregate, you know, a couple hours before dark. They like to hang out back here. But it's really green, it's doing really well. Again, real crappy sandy soil. I think this was the food plot that we were looking at on our sandy soil video last year. So this is the second year of planting, and it's really doing well. I know, it looks like, you know, oats are a little bit tall, but if you go on the backside back here, it's mowed right almost to the ground. So they just found it, and they're doing a number on it. One thing interesting, here's some clover that made it through the tilling process and the working the ground up, and that's pretty good size. But this was a leftover, I think, some red clover from last fall, and we just worked it up, and we got rain. I think this is 4 weeks old, 5 weeks old, 5 weeks old. So buckwheat's doing really well. They're really starting to nip it out. It's like the deer are really moving in here now, finding the food. So, but we're thousands of acres of this right here. So these are going to shine probably in the next 2 weeks. They're going to really fill up with deer. Again, I'm in here a lot later than I want to be. Just, you know, with the business and life in general, just our stuff always gets done last. So we're probably running about 3 weeks behind, but we'll make it work. All right, I'm going to really be quiet on this one because we're right on top of deer bedding. This is the one you saw us put in about 3 weeks ago. Fall forward sandy soil. We got red clover, radishes in here as well. You see the radishes are starting to pop. This is, gosh, 3 weeks old maybe. You see red clover is doing really well. Again, I don't want to talk very loud just because there's deer all down in here. This is all bedding all through here. But strategy here was sandy soil, very sandy soil. We're on a sand ridge top. And we can get them cruising. There's a travel corridor down this way. We have a water hole right here, a licking branch right here. I opted not to put a camera here this year. We're just going to leave it alone, not disturbing here. But you can see there's a lot of browse pressure already. So they're in here. is that way, about 200 or 300 yards. And again, I apologize for talking so quietly because we've got deer all around us. But obviously we've got a close rifle shot. I'm sorry, a close archery shot. I'm standing with the blind on my back. Got really good access. We're on the north side of the property, so west wind, south wind, we can come in here and hunt. This is for a rifle shot. They come down out of the heavy, thick swamp, cross, and there's another travel corridor that goes to the main destination food plot, and then they can also stop up here. We got a lot of buck activity last week, October, early November here last year. Daylight activity in this little tiny plot. They like this. So strategy here again, daylight movement, traveling, very small plot, sandy soil, fall forage, and some red clover and radishes. We're going to turn this into a perennial plot next year. But it's doing extremely well. Plot doctor overspraying about 10 days ago. Not much rain since we planted. I think we've had 2, and it's doing extremely well. You can see the sandy soil here. This is what we're planting in this ridge top. Everything got buried, very little seed left on top of the ground, and it's growing really well. A lot of browse pressure up here. All right, another strategy I want to talk about is hinge cutting. And what we did is we tried to create a barrier here to get the deer to come out of a bedding area here and come around this peninsula. We've got a vine here. There's a deer stand just to the north. We're looking west. This is about a 25-yard bow shot to here. But people talk about hack and squirt versus hinge cutting. There's so many people against hinge cutting, you know. I like to base my opinion on my observations. So these are 3 cherry trees that were hinge cut in March. Okay, we wanted to create a barrier here. So there's another way for the deer to come out here. But those suckers coming off that tree are 9 feet tall, and you look at this bush that is created along with the visual barrier. Okay, I'm 6'3" right now. You mean to tell me these hack and squirt experts, hack and squirt would have been a much better option? I would have had 3 dead cherry trees sitting here, and this would not be working after, what, 7 months? You know, hinge cut is a great tool. It's a tool. It's not an end-all be-all. But again, when these guys talk about hack and squirt, up here we're very limited on food, and hack and squirt up here in this environment is a complete waste of time. You would not get this amount of food, this amount of cover, this amount of regeneration with hack and squirt. Complete waste of time up here, in my opinion, for what I've seen. All right, this is a new piece we're working on, and the strategy up here is actually, it's pretty interesting. So there's a major highway right on the other side of this berm. 15 years ago, they put a berm in here to block the view of this field from the highway. But we're looking north, and that highway is actually east, so access is really, really good. North wind, south wind, and the prevailing west winds. But right on the other side of this autumn olive, by that pine tree, there's going to be a box blind. Okay, actually we'll take a walk over there, and you can see we've got some food plot screen going here. And it's kind of short here because it doesn't get as much sun. But there's going to be a box blind right there, and access is right. They can park right off the highway there, walk right along that trail over there into that box blind, and they're still hidden from these food plots. Now, you can see this is brassica, and we had a problem with the the cedar actually malfunctioned, so I put all the buckwheat right here, and it was way too thick, but the deer found it, and you can see there's really heavy browse pressure in here. So what we ended up doing is we put the brassica on this half of the food plot because they can still see it from the box blind. And again, I'm not talking very loud because there's deer right in here, and there's deer right in here. We'll kind of sneak through here, but this is our sweet feast at about 7 weeks, and it's doing really well. So, pop mentioned here, box blind's gonna go right in that clump of cedars, and then there's a travel corridor right on the other side of this. Now this is kind of sandy soil, it's a little bit darker, but you can see with the box blind there, we're looking north, and they can cover the brassica. This is basically set up for late season. Now over here we have fall forage with some buckwheat, and then you can see just in that gap right there, there's another tiny food plot that we did fall forage and buckwheat. Kind of like archery setups if they want to archery hunt in here. But one of the things I wanted to point out, 3 weeks ago we came in here with some plot doctor, and I started doing this strip right here, okay? And got real thin in here. This spot right here, we missed all this. You can see over here, we just missed it. I got there and back, and then we had a problem. We had one of those electronic pump backpack sprayers, and the pump failed. So I only got to do this part. This was not hit with plot doctor, and anything where the buckwheat is was not hit. But you see how much taller this strip is versus this strip. It's a night and day difference here. So that's something to kind of keep in mind. I really like that plot doctor this time of year because honestly, we haven't had rain in 2 weeks now, and there's none in the forecast. And I'm a firm believer in that plot doctor. But this isn't the greatest soil. You can see the plot screen's kind of struggling. It's about 5 feet tall back here, and it's going to get to 6. But the strategy here is we did brassicas for the gun season and late muzzleloader season. We've got tucked up towards the cover, we've got the cereal grains. We've got a lot of buckwheat in every food plot. We've got buckwheat. There's also peas mixed in here with the brassicas, just because of, one, the nitrogen production, and 2, the food source. But we've added buckwheat everywhere just because of the sandy soil. But they're doing quite well. Brassicas are doing really well. So really good access here. We're going to utilize that berm next year. I think we're going to try to put some switchgrass on top of it to make it even taller, and maybe extend it towards the cover more. But for planting here for the first time in a long time, it's about as good as expected. The soil's only going to get better. We're going to come in here with some soil builder next year, get some organics in here, help the organic matter in the soil. But they really, really like this buckwheat. I was a little concerned how tall it got, but man, they found it the last 8 to 10 days. They're just destroying it. So a lot of food here. I'm really happy how it turned out. Everything's green. We've got a little bit of coloration right here, but for the most part, this is really green. Beautiful looking grass in the food plot. Fall forage looks really good too. Okay, this is our last plot we're going to look at with this video. This is a food plot right across the street from our house. We let the kids do a little bit of rifle hunting back here. After school, we can get back here. But what we do here, this is probably the rockiest, scrappiest ground I ever dealt with. There's no way you can do any kind of tillage back here. Just so much rock. We really don't like to break the ground back here. And for this one to work, it's going to really hinge on rain. It needs a lot of rain. It's very clay ground. It's very hard ground. It's rock hard in August. And what we do is let the rye go all year. We'll let it get up to about, 4 or 5 feet tall. And then we'll kind of watch the weather. If we see some rain coming, we'll come in here, and I think we knocked it down with our steel lawn roller. It just bounces off these rocks. And so we knocked the rye down, sprayed it once, and then seeded it after, or in between a couple of rains we had in early August, mid-August, and then soaked it down with plot doctor, calcium, lime, and the dry fertilizer cocktail. We sprayed it, I think, 3 times in the course of 2 days just to really soak it down. And you can see the rye's doing really well. They're in here eating it. I'm seeing deer droppings everywhere. And the other thing you're seeing, and this is kind of funny, there's some buckwheat, there's some clover, some broadleafs that, basically what that is we'll spill stuff from time to time, and we throw it in a 5-gallon bucket. And we had a full 5-gallon bucket, so I threw that down here on top of it just so I didn't have to dump the seed out for bird feed or something. But I can see radishes and clovers and There's a lot of buckwheat in here, and it's yellowing already. It's just, there's no nutrients in the soil here. There's a yellow patch over here, a lot of buckwheat that's just yellow. But this basically, by and large, is just rye in the fall for hunting. But this is the only true no-till plot that we do. And it'll work, but this plot really needs a lot of rain to sustain it. And we've gotten just enough rain, timely rains in August, to get it to go and to sustain it. So as long as we keep getting a little bit of rain here and there, this is going to keep doing well. But the only no-till plot we do, and that's why you will destroy any piece of equipment. And you're probably only seeing 5% of the rock in here. You will destroy any equipment you bring back here. Disc, drag, anything. There's rock, just rock everywhere. I've never seen anything like this. But this is a true no-till plot, and it'll work just fine for hunting season.
So those are most of our food plots going into the 2023 season. I hope you enjoyed that tour of them, and we're happy to bring you along. Now, the one food plot that we didn't showcase on this video was our 3-strip food plot right behind our house here. That's going to be a completely different video because there's so much information. We really want to get in depth on what we're doing, why we're doing it, and I think you all are going to enjoy that. So if you've got any questions on our food plots, you've got any comments, please in the comments below. Love to have a discussion. I hope you learned something, folks. Thanks for coming along. Deer season starts really soon. Boy, it's open for a lot of people in the country. Please be safe. Good luck, everybody. We want to see your Northwoods Whitetail success stories. Thank you so much for watching the channel, helping the channel grow, and we'll see you in a few days.